What up, Bucks fans? I'm Chris King from the Cream City Crossover. It's draft day. You should be excited. I know I am. And the Brewers got us started already. Andrew Monasterio, pinch hit, walk off in the bottom of the 10th. So I'm already feeling good about the Milwaukee Mojo right now. There's multiple ways the Bucks can go with this, but we have the 23rd pick on day one of the NBA draft. Trey Crosby III and me, Chris King, will be here for a live show, a reaction after day one and day two. It's the first time the NBA is doing the draft on two separate days, so we'll see how that plays out. But just know the Cream City Crossover is here for you. We can get a big to replace maybe if we move Brook Lopez. We can get that defensive wing that the Milwaukee Bucks have been searching for and just haven't found yet for the past couple of years. And then we could also go and get a guard, playmaking guard, that can help facilitate an offense when Damian Lillard is out. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to throw about a couple prospect names in here that could hear their name called by the Milwaukee Bucks. Hope you enjoy it. Let's do it. It's no secret that the Bucks could possibly move on from Brook Lopez at some point this offseason. Who knows, maybe even tonight. So 23rd pick in the first round of the NBA draft. It's a total 180 from last year. There actually is some big talent. Three names that I've been seeing: Yves Missi from Baylor, DaRon Holmes from Dayton, and Kel'el Ware from Indiana are guys who have been mocked either behind the Bucks, before the Bucks, or at the Bucks pick. Let's look at all three. DaRon Holmes is a guy who I've watched for 3 years. You guys know I'm a Dayton fan, so it's going to be awesome to see him get selected. But quite frankly, I don't think he's going to the Bucks. There were reports of a promise maybe early in the first round. He canceled his workout with the Bucks when they tried to get him in the facility. So all signs point to DaRon Holmes not being a Milwaukee Buck. However, if something crazy happens and he does fall to Milwaukee, this is his breakdown. DaRon Holmes is a 6'8", 6'9", 235-pound power forward/center. Played his college ball at Dayton. Go Flyers. He averaged 20.4 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and 2.6 assists on incredibly high usage. I mean, I was watching 3 years of Dayton basketball, and they pretty much ran their offense through him, and he was great. He got the Dayton Flyers back to the NCAA tournament. It had been like 7 years. He won an NCAA tournament game as the number one option, and he kept it close with Arizona in the second round, so he can play, and he's proven himself at the college level. The most important thing is DaRon Holmes' three-point shooting, 38% from three, a real pick-and-pop threat, but he's also a pick-and-roll threat, so he's a double-edged sword in the sense that he could play that Brook Lopez-type role. The only thing is he's only 6'8", 6'9", so very much shorter than Brook Lopez. What came as a result of him having so much usage in college was just his passing out of the post. Dayton shot the ball top 5 in the country at three-point percentage, and that was a product of DaRon Holmes being able to handle double teams, but then he also, if you didn't double team him, he made teams pay and scored 30-plus points. The problems with DaRon Holmes, I think he's not a win-now option. I think he would need some development, just handling the NBA size of bigs, and he's also not very fluid with his motions. You'll see he kind of looks a little sloppy. And then also the turnover rate. I know he had high usage, but he turned the ball over a little bit. So all in all, that's my review on DaRon Holmes. Not going to do too much on him because I just don't think it's going to happen. Yves Missi is a very intriguing prospect for me. 6'11", 235 pounds, and he's a freshman, so younger and taller than DaRon Holmes. Averaged 10 and 5 at Baylor, but that's a better basketball conference, obviously, playing in the Big 12 with some of the best bigs in college basketball. So obviously Missi's numbers aren't going to be as high as DaRon Holmes were because you have another first-round pick on Baylor in Jacoby Walter. But what really stands out to me when just watching Missi is he can play well in the dunker spot. He looks more aggressive with bigger bigs, and I think he can run well in transition. We know this Bucks team likes to get out in transition, and it would be nice to have somebody who could trail a Giannis, who can trail a Dame, who can trail a Chris to just clean up on boards if there is a missed opportunity in transition. So now where you get kind of in a limbo is he didn't shoot a three at all last year. So that's a little concerning. You need a guy who might be able to come in if Brook Lopez is moved and be able to space the floor out even more for Giannis because we've just been so used to having a big that can knock down the three. The counter argument to that is look at Derek Lively and what he was able to do for the Dallas Mavericks. It goes a long way having an energetic young big who can impact the game on both sides even if he's not shooting the three. I think he's the most reliable win-now option out of the bigs I'm covering just because his measurements are legit. 6'11" with a 7'2" wingspan, has the build of an NBA player, very compact with his defensive skill set. So I think he could come in and at least give you minutes off of the bench. But I just don't know what his ceiling is offensively to maybe become a guy who can step out and shoot mid-range at least, or at least have an offensive package that could ultimately develop into a solid big. And the last big you're looking at is Kel'el Ware from Indiana. Ware's a 7-footer, 242 pounds, and averaged 15 points, 9 rebounds a game at Indiana. He shot 42% from the three, only on 40 attempts, but that's still good numbers. I like Ware's hands, catching ability, being able to catch lobs through traffic, catch passes through traffic, grab rebounds in congested areas against guys in the Big Ten like Zach Edey, like Julian Reese, like Felix Okpara, legit bigs that he went up against all throughout his sophomore year. Unlike DaRon Holmes, I do think that he's more coordinated and fluid with his movements, which is impressive for his size. I think he's got the best bag offensively out of the three prospects, but my only concerns with Kel'el Ware is the fact that he wasn't able to get this Indiana team as a winning team. He wasn't able to get them to the NCAA tournament as a number one option. Another concern for Ware, I think, is the sample size is just too short to be able to guarantee that that three ball will actually translate to the NBA. He shot sub 30% from three in his freshman year, so he made improvements, a big improvement, but it was only on 43s. So, we don't know if he's going to actually be able to make that happen in the NBA, especially with the three-point line moving back. But the shot looks good. It looks good. It looks fluid, and we'll see how that works out. I think some of the problems we had with Brook Lopez is that he's just too slow now, and in the drop coverage, he was getting hunted. And I think Ware is a very capable defender. He's very athletic, can move his feet, 1.9 blocks per game at Indiana. So a guy who could step in and maybe change that defensive mindset that there were reports of wanting to change with the Milwaukee Bucks, talking about changing the defensive mindset, maybe going and getting a younger athletic big like a Ware who can just fill Brook Lopez's departure if that does happen. This has been a draft breakdown. I'm Chris King with the Cream City Crossover. What are the Bucks going to do? Let us know in the comments. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade the pick. It's going to be a wild offseason. I'm ready for it. The Cream City Crossover is ready for it. We're bringing you a live show after both days of the draft. Trey Crosby III and Chris King. We'll see you guys next time. Enjoy.